I've got a couple of stories. I'm not very good at telling stories. That's the thing. So I'll try my best.
You are not very good?
Not very good at telling stories.
The heck?
I'm good at
hosting everything and telling
I know,
stories.
but everything is spontaneous there, and telling stories, requires patience and attention to detail, and I'm not good at it. Can you imagine? That's true. That's absolutely true. Right.
Do you have a cute version of your name, Piotrusz?
Piotrusz, that would sound nice. Not many people call me because I'm Big Piotr, so that's why they're like Piotrusz is like small. It's like at a party.
Yes, yeah, that's a party vibe. And actually,
This
podcast was born, the idea was to have a bar story, bar vibe, or house party when two people sitting, like their music, and other people, and we're just chatting. My first house party here was an international party.
Okay.
And it was exactly that vibe. A lot of people from other countries.
A lot of different stories. Absolutely. I can imagine that.
It's crazy. And I was blown away by the diversity of the stories. And yeah, that's how I kept it in mind.
And you decided to make your own show where people share stories. Do you have your favorite story so far that somebody has told over the podcast? Okay, I'm asking questions now. Sorry, you ask questions. I'm not going to ask you any questions. You ask me questions because I've got this kind of feeling that I always ask people questions and then like...
I know. You see the camera and you start to be a host.
all the time asking questions.
Hello, everyone. This is MoveOn, podcast about immigration and traveling. And today my guest is Piotr. And he is from Poland.
Yeah.
Was you born here?
Yes, Poznan. 1988. I'm very old.
Okay, I didn't ask this specifically, but yes, so you're a Poznan person.
Yes,
guy, yeah.
Poznan, always here.
You are an organizer of international events here, many of them. You're host of many shows, programs, radio shows, TV shows, and you are a friend of mine, and I'm really happy to have you here.
Well, thanks for inviting me. I'm super happy to be a guest on your show. I've been watching some of your podcasts, especially with Tommy or with Paulina. These are my favorite ones.
Because those are your best friends.
Exactly, because I knew some of the stories and I really wanted to, kind of hear them once again. So I was like, yes, these are good stories. Can I swear on the show as well? Yes, nice. I love that. Normally I can't swear on the show.
Yeah, it will be totally different for you, I believe.
It's a family show. Well, yes, we used to know International Poznan. Once it was even very early in the morning on Sunday. Can you imagine? So it was a family show. It was 10 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
9 o'clock. So
okay.
So it was a family show. The premiere was at 9 and then the rerun was at 10 p.m. So 10 p.m. fine for a little bit of swearing, at least in English, but in Polish, not really for sure.
How it was born, the idea? It was not yours. You joined later.
No. The way it started was have you met this guy Maciek Kauts by any chance?
Yes.
So Maciek Kauts came up with this idea back in that was a long time ago.
A long time.
7 years ago, I think. 7 years ago. And he came up with this idea that he would love to interview foreigners living in Poznan on the radio. So he went to, back then it was still MC Radio. It was already MC Radio back then. And he pitched that idea to the boss and they said yes. And that's how he started, yeah. And at that time it was a little bit more difficult because I think there were fewer foreigners at that time, 7 years ago. Obviously. But Maciek, he's a great host and he really knew how to talk to people and how to get the best out of people. And he's a great listener, but he can also take it away from the point that someone is lost and he will always show you how to, get to the point. And with me and Max Kruk, you met Max Kruk, yes. We are trying to follow his guidelines and, kind of keep the heritage of the show.
He's not a part of it?
Maciek, sometimes he hosts, a show maybe once a year. So when he's got some important guests that he would like to, have on the show, for example, like the head of Volkswagen, Volkswagen Poznan, then he appears on the show. But he hasn't been on the show for quite some time. And hopefully he will come back. Yes, I really love Maciek, and he just had his birthday actually 2 days ago or yesterday. I think 2 days ago. Happy birthday! Number 32. I will be 33 this year, so I totally feel him.
Me too. With 32, I will be 32.
32.
Yeah.
We're almost the same age.
Yeah, I feel you guys. Anyway, when you joined the International Poznan?
I joined in October 20... Jeez, I'm not very good at maths. It's 2021. It was October 2018, I think. 2019? 2018.
Okay.
So it's been 2.5 years.
Yes.
And it's been a lot of great fun. You were on my show as well, I remember that.
I was.
So that was a great show. One of my favorite shows, actually, because, we had very good guests. So we had 3 guests, everyone representing kind of a different side of Russia. And we had live music in Russian as well. So that was super.
Live music, yes. The girl was
amazing.
amazing.
Olivia, that's her name. And she sang amazingly in Russian because she did her own version of Russian pop songs. And, I think Russian is one of the best languages for singing.
The question that is really like...
The burning question. Okay, let's do it.
I want to know how the Miasto Bar Quiz was born.
The Miasto Bar. Oh, actually, it started back in 2011. So I came back from the UK. I had studied there for 3 years, came back to Poland, and I kind of missed that international atmosphere. I had my friends from high school that obviously are very nice as well, but it's a kind of different vibe. Yeah. When I was in the UK, I knew people from all over the world basically. And I was missing that feeling, that you can learn from them. For example, learn about the cultures, the countries and so on. So in 2012, I went to my first couchsurfing meeting, which was back in Bunuba Club. So that's basically next door to Miasto. That was next door to Miasto, so even the same address, 20 Szewska.
Now it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
Okay.
And then I went there and I met a lot of nice people, a lot of nice Polish people as well who were very open, but also foreigners. And I started going there quite regularly. And I've been going there for quite some time until I saw that the meetings were dying. So the problem was that, the meetings were organized by people who were not that interested in organizing, so they kind of had their other things and they were not so much focused on organizing it and especially promoting it. So I decided, maybe I could take it away from there and create my own idea. And I knew about pub quiz ideas in the UK.
Yes.
So in the UK, pub quiz is very popular, yeah? So I thought, I will make a pub quiz event, but more educational and easier as well. Because in the UK, you don't have multiple choice questions. You have open close questions. Yeah. So you actually have to guess the answer.
Wow. Which
is super difficult. So I've attended a couple of these super difficult. You have to have a really broad knowledge. Wow. But I decided, okay, multiple choice questions, 3 answers for each question. 1 answer is always correct. And we're going to dedicate it to different countries. So I thought, okay, we're going to start maybe from Spain or Italy, more famous countries, more well-known, and then we're going to narrow it down to less famous countries. And this is how it started. The reason why we are in Miasto is because Bunuba got closed down.
Yeah.
And Miasto was next door, and I had a good contact with the owners because I organized a different meeting at that time in Miasto Bar on Tuesdays. So at some point I had 2 different meetings, on Tuesday and on Thursday. But the Tuesday idea wasn't working so well because, 2 meetings in the same week, maybe I would have to do it differently, but I didn't. So,
but both are international?
Both international meetings organized by me, yes.
Okay.
So maybe that was the problem, that there were too many meetings. So 1 was enough, weekly. Maybe some kind of other meeting monthly would make more sense, yeah. But so in Miasto I stopped, then I organized only Bunuba. Bunuba got closed down, and I decided to move it next door because I had a really good contact with the owners. I've had it until now. And we started organizing in Miasto Bar, which is a bit different vibe. Because in Bunuba, it was more like kind of student vibe. It wasn't such a nice place as Miasto Bar is. Yeah, Miasto Bar is more like industrial, kind of, a little bit rustic. Bunuba was more like student vibe, couches, all sorts of that stuff. Okay. Miasto is more like a professional venue when I have a lot of space, good drinks, good cocktails. And I've really missed those meetings because it's been 6 months. Can you imagine?
Yes, I can.
6 months since the last meeting in October.
And I've been on the last meeting. It was exactly like, okay, there were rumors everywhere, guys. It's probably the last meeting.
Yeah.
And it was the last meeting.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. And I had been organizing those meetings for 4 years in Bunuba and in Miasto Bar. Yeah. So, so many people, so many stories. And it's gone now. I don't know for how long, but hopefully, June, we will come back. That's my plan.
Do you have energy and power to keep going?
Always, of course. I've been missing that. I always need that energy from people. So it's the same with my, TV shows or radio shows. I always get that energy from people. So meeting people, I'm sure you have the same thing, right? You invite people here.
No, I'm an introvert.
I'm sure they give you that energy, right? That, they come here and they are this energy dose that you need for some time. Because you are an introvert, but not exactly, I think.
No, I do love these interviews because it's exactly like one-on-one meeting.
Yeah.
And there's not much is going on and it's very intimate and
it is very
good just conversation for a couple of hours, and I'm enjoying it so much. But you are host of a big things. You're like doing big things.
I like that. I like that when there are like 80, 90 people at those events, and I like to, I think, a little bit of control of people and how kind of run those things smoothly. It's not always smoothly. Sometimes you really have to improvise because something gets missed on the way, and you have to improvise to fix it in a moment, right? In that very moment. So that is sometimes difficult, but for me it's interesting to meeting people. Like every Thursday I would meet new people. And that was the greatest thing, that, I would meet people from all continents of the world. And that was pretty spectacular.
Yes, I love this networking with like international people.
Yeah.
And knowing their stories. But okay, you miss these vibes. And for me, I just want to hear, okay, I have my story, but what is yours? I enjoyed this.
Because you already know your story, right? It's not like you really want to share your story. You want to get to know other people's stories, yeah?
Yeah.
It's the same with me. I don't want to talk about myself because I would bore myself to death talking about myself all the time when I can actually get to know about other people.
When you're saying things don't run smoothly, what do you mean? Technical issues?
Sometimes technical issues, sometimes I don't know, the projector doesn't work, the microphone doesn't work. So these are some technical issues that we've been through successfully and unsuccessfully. And also, sometimes there are issues with people. Yeah. So somebody doesn't show up, the presentation with the questions is not ready. So you kind of have to improvise and write down some questions in the last minutes. Sometimes I even prepare presentations with the questions, and sometimes I don't even do it on time. So I have to really focus 10 minutes before and kind of write down the questions, which has happened. But I don't think people really felt that I did it in the last minute. So I
don't think so. I never felt like any, delays or technical issues. So it runs smoothly.
Yeah. Well, but I like when something doesn't run smoothly, because then you kind of get to show your skills in terms of managing the crowd, and kind of it's not that easy, and it's a challenge, right? So I like when it's the same on TV and on the radio, when something doesn't add up, then it's your role to kind of be there and fix this up on the spot, and that's what I like. Because
you mentioned about the UK, the environment, the study. And what is the story? Is it Erasmus thing?
No. Basically, what happened, that was back in 2008. So a long time ago. So I quit my studies at the University of Economics. I quit my studies because I felt like, I wasn't really interested in that kind of field. And I decided to work somewhere until September and try to find new studies somewhere else, probably in Poland, right? I was thinking Wyższa Szkoła Bankowa. So again, kind of similar field, but maybe more into public relations and marketing. So I was looking for something related to that. So I quit studies, and so I basically had a half a year to do something with myself. So I don't know, some kind of half a gap year or something like that. And my friend at that time was studying in the UK, in High Wycombe at Buckinghamshire University. So my friend that at that time I had known for many years, now we've known each other for 27 years. So we've known each other since year one in primary school, let's say. And I thought, okay, I would visit him in High Wycombe. Maybe I could find some work there and work until September, come back to Poland and start studying in Poland. Because I thought, I'm not going to make it in the UK as a student. It's too difficult because you actually have to know English really well. It's a new environment. I can only work there for a couple of months and come back to Poland.
Do you know English at that time already?
I knew some English, let's say, but I didn't know it enough because I started working in a restaurant, and can you imagine that I couldn't really speak to customers? I knew what they were saying to me in most cases, But I couldn't really reply. And they actually fired me because of that, because I wasn't communicative enough for a waiter. Mm-hmm. So I got fired, and then I found another job in a school canteen, and that worked out better because I didn't have so much contact with customers, and I was just making sandwiches and stuff like that. So that was much better. And at that time, I met a guy that was studying public relations and marketing communications at this university. So I decided, maybe it would be interesting to go to one of lectures and see if I can understand and how they look like. Mm-hmm. Are they different than Polish lessons at Polish universities? Who knows? So I went there, and I actually really liked the practical approach that they offered, and I understood almost everything. So I thought, okay, so maybe actually I could study at this university. And I applied. They invited me for an interview. I went, I think, quite well through the interview, and they offered me a position at university. So I was qualified. And I was like, wow, this is, surprising. Yeah. But eventually I started studying there, public relations and marketing communications, and I studied there for 3 years. One of my best times in my whole life, 3 years in the UK. Because imagine that, Poland in 2008, not many foreigners. I was quite shy, I didn't know how to talk to people, and the UK, that time 3 years gave me everything. So I opened up, I learned the language, I gained some skills in different fields because I did a lot of different jobs. So for example, I, shifted furniture, I made sandwiches, I worked at a stadium, making hot dogs, working on the till, all sorts of things. So that was a great experience, I
Simultaneously?
think. Simultaneously making hot dogs and working on the till?
Yes. Like study working?
Yes. Because, in the UK, you actually have only 12 hours a week of studying. That's it.
Oh.
So you can even work full time. There were a lot of people that worked at that time full time. So 40
But was
hours.
It like a master's degree or bachelor?
Bachelor's degree.
Okay.
Bachelor's degree. Because in the UK, you don't really do a master's degree that often, because it's quite expensive as well. Wow. And you don't get a loan from the government. Because the reason I also decided to study there was that I got a loan from the government. So £3,000 a year was given to me to cover the fees. Yeah. So that was much, much easier to do that.
Interesting. In the UK government gave it to you?
Yes. Yeah. So the UK. So you apply for the loan before you start studying, and if they say yes, you don't have to pay anything.
Wow.
Because paying
but it's a loan, so you have to give it back.
Yes and no. So you have to do it if you earn enough money. So under some kind of income level, you don't have to do it. Ooh. So probably if you come back to Poland and with Polish, let's say, salary, which is much, much lower than the UK, in a lot of cases, you don't have to pay it back. I love the studies because they were very practical. So, you would have practitioners from public relations, advertising, marketing, communications, and all of the professors, lecturers were both practitioners and lecturers. So they would have their own, PR practice, for example, or maybe before they had worked in different fields. It was super practical. During 3 years, I only had 3 exams. For 2 of them, I could take notes. And for 1 of them, I had to learn by heart, 1 exam. And the rest were presentations, reports, like if you were working for an ad agency or PR agency.
Okay. Yeah, that's really practical.
Yeah. Speeches, all sorts of stuff like that.
I like it.
Marketing games, So for example, we had marketing simulation in which we would pretend that we had a company and we'll have to kind of, do everything as we had a company in terms of marketing. So that was pretty cool. That's why I loved it, because in Poland, now it has changed. So there is definitely more practical approach in Poland. Mm-hmm. But back then, in 2008, it wasn't the case. By the way, I've been to Israel twice. Have you been to Israel?
No.
Should definitely go. Once the borders are open, should definitely go to Israel. I always go there on my own. So I've been there twice, always going on my own, because I like traveling on my own. I it's nice to travel with friends because you have people to talk to. In case something happens, there's always someone there for you. Mm-hmm. But I think in Israel, you feel very safe, even as a woman. I think definitely 90% of the territory of Israel.
I've heard different stories.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
I think, in terms of like bomb attacks or something like that, this can be a little bit more dangerous than other countries, definitely. But
there are like soldiers everywhere. You get want to enter places you see everywhere.
So because you have soldiers and so much civilians, that I think petty crimes or just like small crimes or even like more serious crimes are less likely to occur because of so much civilians and so many soldiers on the streets. That's why I think people feel safe there. I think I really got used to that after a couple of days.
I feel really anxious to see people, like forced people everywhere. It's kind of...
You think so? I think in Israel it's so obvious because of the political situation. So they're in a constant state of war, not only with Palestine, but also with other Arab countries. You know? I'm not gonna go into like politics now. Why it's like that? But you know, I think people in Israel, they know how to enjoy life. Because they know that, you know, their country is at a war and you never know what will happen. So you need to enjoy what you have.
Every day is like the last day.
Kind of, yeah. It's not necessarily, but, you know, kind of, I think when I think about Israel, especially Tel Aviv, yeah, because there are three big cities in Israel. It's Haifa, Tel Aviv, and Jerusalem. So Jerusalem is a place where you pray. Tel Aviv is a place where you have fun. And Haifa is a place where you work. So each of those cities can have a completely different vibe. So when you go to Jerusalem, it's very spiritual. You see so many religions next to each other, living quite peacefully, let's say. I'm sure it's not 100% peacefully. Yeah. Then you go to Tel Aviv and it's like a party place. You know, I was in Tel Aviv and I was on my own and I stayed in a hostel. That was a kind of a party hostel, let's say. And I remember after 2 hours of meeting people, I had them drinking soplica because I brought soplica from Poland. As a way to meet people as well, for alcohol. And I remember teaching people how to say na zdrowie, you know, on a nice rooftop terrace with a nice beach view. And I got like 14 people at the same time to say na zdrowie with soplica. And I was like, okay, this is some kind of achievement.
Wow. That's like you are using your skills to the fullest. Why?
No, that was just an easy saying. You know, if I had to teach them some more difficult sentences in Polish, I would have failed definitely, miserably. But, you know, saying na zdrowie is one of the easiest phrases in Polish. Yeah. There are so many more difficult phrases which are also very useful, but na zdrowie is like super easy, and I think most people remember that. If you talk to foreigners here in Poznan, most of them, they know the K word and they know na zdrowie.
Was it like an international people hang out there? Or?
Yes, Tel Aviv is super international.
Oh.
What is interesting that despite the fact that it's so close to Jerusalem, it's one of the most gay-friendly cities in the world.
Nice.
And it's only 1 hour drive from Jerusalem, which is like super religious. And, you know, people are there are a lot of Orthodox Jewish people, but you go to Tel Aviv and I think like everything goes. So that's why, you know, the pride is very good. The gay pride is a very big event in Tel Aviv. You can see, people like even men holding hands. So that was very, very surprising for me because I thought, you know, it's kind of an Orthodox country still, you know, run by quite Orthodox people. But when you're in Tel Aviv, it's like everything is allowed. I think I would say it's more open than Poznan, even though Poznan is not so Catholic or something like that. But yeah, but Tel Aviv is super open. Food is great, you know. I love kind of modern Israeli food. Yeah, so for example, like shakshuka or falafel or hummus. Yeah. This is kind of modern Israeli food because the old Israeli food, like Jewish food, I'm not a fan of, like kosher food. I'm sorry, but this kind of modern food in Tel Aviv, really nice.
How did you choose to go there? It's just something was on your bucket list.
Yeah, I had always wanted to visit Israel, but also it was super cheap because for a long time the Israeli government had paid a certain amount of money for every ticket bought to and from Israel. So the Israeli, let's say the Israeli probably Ministry of Tourists, they decided to bring more tourists to Israel because of the reputation, right? Maybe not many people wanted to go to Israel, and the tickets, if you wanted to go there by Ryanair, were super cheap because it's 4.5 hours. It's quite far from Poland to go to Israel. Yeah, and for example, the tickets were like 150 zloty return. So that's super cheap.
Okay.
It's not like Ryanair would make any money out of this. It's impossible for that kind of price. So the only reason why they had those tickets so cheap is the fact that the Israeli government pays, I think it was about $100 for each like return ticket. I'm not sure.
Interesting. Okay.
But a lot of other countries have done that. That very often you find very cheap tickets, and it's not the reason Ryanair really wants to sell them so cheaply. It's also because, you know, local governments, they pay for those tickets so more people could come. because it's a good investment, right?
Yes.
You pay for the tickets, but people spend a lot of money there on, accommodation, restaurants, museums, whatever that is. Yeah?
That's a very smart
And this is the way it works with Israel, because Israel is very expensive. Imagine you go to a bar, beer is 30 zloty, yeah? You go to a restaurant, it's quite expensive as well, especially if you have meat. If you go like vegetarian, if you have like hummus or falafel, it's quite cheap. But if you go with meat, quite expensive as well. In general, life, it's like more expensive than Poland. Yeah.
So why you've been there twice? Why you return?
Good question. Because I like the vibe there. I like the vibe. I like the people. People are very open. They speak good English. I like the weather. You can go there in February and it's warm. So it's about 20. If you go to the south, to the Red Sea, it's 25 degrees in February. Imagine you pay only 150 zloty at that time. Now it's much more expensive, but at that time, 150 zloty. So that was about 3-4 years ago. That's super cheap.
It's super cheap.
I would love to come back there, but there are so many other countries to visit. So I cannot go there 3 times. That would be too much. I actually
did the same kind of mistake pattern. I don't know. I've been in Italy so many times. And every time I was questioning myself, not questioning, but bargaining with myself.
Yes.
Should I go or shouldn't? Spend my money, time in the same place that I already saw.
But was it exactly the same place, the same city, or was it a different region of Italy?
No, it all the time was north. So I was visiting almost the same things.
So then I would say, so maybe go to the south, because the south, have you been to the south of Italy?
Never.
So it's like going to a different country.
Exactly. That's why I don't want to. I will change my perspective of Italy.
Yeah,
but
Naples, that would be nice.
It's just I feel the hustle. I feel the pain of choosing to spend to go to the place that you really like, or to explore a new place. You've been already in how many countries?
About 30 countries, I think altogether.
So you're not sure.
I think 31, 32 maybe even. I'm not sure. I will have to count, but I think it's about 30 countries.
You're not, you don't have like a track list or something?
I think I did it, but I forgot the exact number.
Okay.
So because it's, but back 2 years ago, I would travel every 2-3 months somewhere.
Very often, yeah.
And for the last, 30 months, as we all know, I've only been to Berlin. But Berlin is not like traveling. It's like going to a different Polish city, because it's 2 hours, 2.5 hours by car. It's like, you don't feel like it's actually traveling. And Berlin even looks a bit similar to many places in Poland. Yeah, there are a lot of similarities.
The most exotic place you've been? Australia?
I think Southeast Asia. That was a trip that we did last year, just before the pandemic.
Yes, okay.
I managed to go to Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand. And that was a spectacular trip, because it is very exotic there, and the reality is completely different. The food is amazing. I would love to come back to Southeast Asia, so that's on my bucket list as well. So going to Cambodia, Vietnam, for example, exploring more of Thailand, because I only went to Phuket and the neighboring areas. And I don't know if you heard about Phuket.
Yes.
Phuket is a place where, you don't think you get to see the real Thailand.
I think it's quite touristic this
time. Very touristic. Yeah. It's very touristic. I think I saw more white people in Phuket itself, Phuket city, more than Thai people actually. So Thai people were just working there, I think, and white people were customers, let's say. Yeah,
for Russia it's like
there were so many Russian people as well.
Yeah,
so
it's
many.
like go-to place. We are very familiar with that.
Yeah, there are like 2 daily flights from Moscow, I think. I remember when we arrived there, like there was a huge line of Russian people in front of us, and took ages. But I think, Yeah. But I tried to talk to them in my broken Russian.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you actually you speak a little bit. That's really
just a little bit, and I could, because I had some Russian in high school, so
classes,
that was I didn't want to have German. That's why I chose Russian.
Really, that's really weird. People in Poznan, they like to choose German because I don't know.
I think it's more
perspective.
Exactly, that was the reason. But not I don't like the sound of German, to be honest with you. I think it sounds a little bit harsh. I know that for business perspectives, it's nice, but when you are 16, you don't really think about business perspectives, do you? So I think about, Russian language is just more romantic, I would say.
I mean, in comparison to German, yeah.
Thailand was one of my greatest travels, because Thailand is a completely different word. And I remember we went there, and what I loved about Thailand is street food. So street food, enables you to actually feel the food, smell the food, because you go to a stall that is actually on the street. You sit there, you see the cook. The cook takes your money and cooks something for you. And when I was in Phuket, we had a cook that was our friend, because we would come there for every dinner. Every dinner would be there, and he had the menu. But we would always ask him to make something special out of the menu, and we could literally show what ingredients he could use for us. Yeah, and I remember he would always tell stories, about Thailand and everything. So we learned so much from him. And also, he told us that he had been working there for 25 years, the same stall for 25 years. And I thought, this guy must really like this job, because imagine doing 25 years, the same thing on and on, cooking for tourists, talking to them 25 years. And the food was amazing. That was like the best pad thai I've ever had. And it cost only 12 zloty. So that was amazing,
Nice. Yes,
and for me, I would love to go back to Southeast Asia to again feel this experience. Yeah, that you can sit on the street, talk to the person that is making food for you, and just have a good time. So that's what always Thailand reminds me of.
And yeah, I think the guy will be there.
He will be there for another 20 years, I'm sure, because they live very long. That's the first thing, and I think it's very difficult to find anything else for them. So once you got your own stall, this is what you will be probably doing for the rest of your life.
Okay.
Something completely different than in Poland, right? In Poland, you close your business, you open another one, whatever, yeah. But there you have your stall, and you have to do it, basically. It's the same in Poland. I think a lot of people can still be, happy with what they have. Because maybe sometimes they don't know what they could have if things were different. And if you look like 20 or 25 years back, the situation in Poland has improved greatly.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing. When I look at, 2008, for example, when I left for the UK, and now Poland is such a great country, And even when I was in the UK, I always wanted to come back.
Oh, wow.
Because I felt, Poland is my home, yeah. No matter what government, will be there, I would love to be in Poland.
So you have this, I feel this is my home.
This is my home. Okay, I can go somewhere for a month or something, but Poland is my home. If you look at the growth and development of Poland as a country for the last 32 years since the fall of the communism, it's been a beautiful journey. With some obstacles, obviously, but it's amazing.
I agree, because I came here absolutely randomly, by random circumstances, but I stayed because I saw how the country is developing.
Yeah. I think, Poland is a good country to live in. And sometimes I need to talk to foreigners so they remind me how great Poland is.
Actually, that's true. When they telling you that they are enjoying what they're enjoying, and you're yeah, that's true.
Yeah, sometimes you don't realize,
getting used to you get used to it.
Still, I would improve many things in Poland anyway, because I don't want to say that Poland is the perfect country. There are still a lot of things, and the fact that people are still not very tolerant towards things that they don't know. Especially in smaller towns. And still there's a lot to work on, but the progress has been great. Do you miss Russia from time to time when you think about your hometown? No.
Not at all.
I think this is the thing. I think this is what is different, I think, between us. Yeah.
Yes, I was so that's why I was so happy knowing that you were Poznan is my home.
Yeah.
Because for me, I feel homesick, but I don't know where is my home.
So you're a citizen of the world.
Maybe, I don't know. I like to say that I'm gypsy.
I'm not sure if this is the accurate expression, because somehow you feel good in Poland, right?
I also find some good things and some bad things. Okay. That I'm okay with the things, and sometimes I want to leave. Sometimes I want to stay.
So what things would you like to change about Poland? This is one of the questions that I always ask. So I'm sorry again, I'm asking something, but this is always interesting. Because I know what people like Poland for, and this is, I think, quite easy to figure out. But I'm always interested in what people dislike about Poland, because there's so much place to improve things in Poland. Absolutely. And I always ask everyone, who's not born in Poland, what is there to be improved? What would be number one thing?
I don't think you can improve things that I don't like.
Give me one thing. Number one.
I don't like weather.
Okay.
It's impossible to change.
That's true.
Unless global warming is going to hit.
That's what a lot of people don't like about Poland, especially now. Like this April is horrendous. Like last April, when I was at home all the time, was much better
yes.
than it's now when you can actually go out.
Another thing, I don't feel like good, like at home, let's say, where I feel welcome. So I feel unwelcome, let's say. As a Russian.
Do you think there are some Russian stereotypes that people still have in mind?
Kinda. And sometimes it's just passive aggressive.
You're not the first Russian person that has told me about it.
Yeah,
so I've heard that before. I think,
that's why I am keeping friendship with the international community.
Yeah.
I like to go to see international people rather than Polish.
But we have a lot of similarities as Slavic nations, right? And I think people focus more on politics. And even if you look historically at the relationship between Russia and Poland, it's been mostly politics.
Yeah, yes.
It's been also influenced by politics and some people in power that had different ambitions than people. Most of them wanted to live peacefully.
That's true.
And, Russians and Polish people, they lived peacefully most of the time, I think. And I think we should look at this, yeah? You can always find some negative stereotypes about any nation, especially Poles. But, this is the problem that people cannot differentiate, politics and actually, individuals that are there. No, you're a representative of a completely different generation.
I know.
This is the thing.
I know. That's the thing. The majority doesn't know. Like people like you are Polish, but you also hang out with international people. You are open-minded. So it's way more easier to communicate with you and people like you. But
that depends.
But majority, I don't know. I'm having 5 years here and I'm having hard time to have.
Do you think it would be easier if you talked in Polish?
Some people told me that would be easier. That would solve Polish, that will solve some
of the issues, I think.
Mm-hmm, because it would mean that I am open towards your culture.
Yeah.
So I'm I want to.
And sometimes it's easier to understand people if you know the language. I think the language is kind of a way that, shows you the true meaning of the nation and so on. Because for language, you can understand a lot of things. So, but Polish is such a difficult language. Even for Russian speakers, I think it's still quite difficult. And that is a problem. But I think understanding the language is helpful, definitely in that case.
I know some. Quite a lot. Okay, I understand quite a lot. I have issues.
You should speak more Polish.
Yeah, I have issues talking because I don't practice. I work with English.
Well, once we talked for quite some time in Polish.
It was actually a nice exercise.
There you go.
But we survived a long car trip just talking in Polish.
About different issues.
Yeah, it was nice. So I can handle things, but maybe not. It could be an issue. It could be an issue that I'm not that open towards the language, the culture. So they closed from me. I closed from them.
Yeah. I completely understand you. When I was in the UK, I had a very similar problem. Let's say that, I understand the culture. I felt like I understood the culture because the culture in the UK is very much this pop culture. You know it from TVs, you know it from music kind of, but I always felt a little bit like a stranger. So, and I think even when I talk to people who have lived there for 10, 11 years, they also have this kind of feeling that you always will be kind of a stranger. Yeah. A Polish man in New World, let's say, paraphrasing Sting's song. It's just a funny story from my life. Did I tell you that I was on a dating show?
No.
Once I was on a dating show actually a lot of people know about that. I was on a dating show called First Dates on the national TV in Poland.
Okay.
And basically it's a kind of format when you kind of write down in a questionnaire what you like in a girl, what you dislike in a girl, and they kind of match you with a random person, with a random girl that also did the same questionnaire. And you meet her in a restaurant. In Warsaw, where cameras are everywhere, and you kind of have a 2 hours dinner with her, and then at the end you decide whether you want to go for the second date or not. And imagine that you talk to her for 2 hours, and before they do a little interview with her, you don't see each other. And then after that, there's one interview with me, one with her. And then together we say whether you want to meet each other again or not. And the power of editing there is huge because, they have to narrow down 2 hours and the other interviews into 9 minutes.
9?
9 minutes. 9.5 maybe.
Oh, okay. Now I feel the
and
power.
This is the power of editing. You can show people in a variety of ways. My best friend is an editor in the UK as well. So we always talk about that power, yeah?
You was like one episode there only?
Just one episode, yes. Just one episode. But that was enough. I did it for fun. It's not that I was looking for somebody because, the chances that I would actually meet the one over there, were very, very, very little. But I had known the show from the UK because in the UK the show is super popular, and the Polish version is not as nice. There were only 2 seasons, but there was a lot of good fun being on this on this show.
So what was the motivation for you to apply?
I don't know. It was winter and I was really bored and I really wanted to do something crazy.
But anyone can apply?
Anyone.
Wow.
Anyone. Yes. And even a good friend of mine, Claudia, was also on the 2nd season as well. So she also applied. And, I think it was good fun. It was good fun. The girl that I met, she was nice, but she was a completely different world. She lived in a completely different world. Imagine that I went there and she told me that she hadn't partied for the last 5 years.
Oh.
For the last 5 years. And I was like, when was the last time I hadn't partied for the last 5 weeks? and then she didn't drink any alcohol. Okay, it's not a big deal for me, but I kind of felt that I combined everything, not partying for 5 years, not drinking alcohol, which obviously I don't want to force anybody to drink alcohol. But when someone says specifically that doesn't drink alcohol at all, for me, I've obviously not sure if I could get on with that person like in a long-term relationship because, I take part in a lot of activities when there is alcohol actually. And
it's more like about lifestyle.
It's more about the lifestyle, not about getting drunk and being ridiculous, but it's more like about the lifestyle. So we're from two completely different worlds, yeah? So
Is it possible to find the episode online?
No. It's on my hard drive, so
so it was on TV and they never
No, it was online for quite some time,
okay.
But then I'm sure they don't have enough storage room on TV in TVP headquarters, and they deleted that I think a year ago. So it's not available anymore, but
it's so sad.
Which is I know, but it was good fun. It was my first TV proper TV appearance, and also. Afterwards, they invited me on a morning show as well, on TVP morning show, Pytanie na śniadanie, that's the name of it. And I was there with her talking about the show and my, kind of opinion about how the show went and so on. So for me, that was, kind of the stuff that showed me how real television looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, maybe I could, do one day my own TV show. Yeah. And then, here I am, I'm hosting a breakfast TV show in Poznan. With the power of editing, you could show me as a, let's say, less smart person than I am. Easily.
Yeah.
That's the word. But you can also show me as a smarter person.
Of course, I cannot change your words, but some things that unspoken, you just cut things out and...
also reactions, right? For example, the way I react, my facial expressions and stuff like this, you can do a lot with that.
Yes.
And you would just pour yourself some alcohol. And I felt like, okay, looks like I'm an alcoholic now because I'm just sitting alone in front of the computer. Okay, talking to friends, but sitting on my own. And that was a problem.
And what's dirty about that?
There's nothing dirty because that's a different story.
Okay.
No, I don't want to talk about ping pong show because this is too graphic and also about prostitutes of Thailand. No, I'm not gonna talk about that. By the way, it wasn't me being involved with a prostitute. No, it wasn't me. For real. Well, maybe here it's nice because it's almost end of Poznan, so it's like countryside.
It's a lie. I'm living in the city. last tram station, but still
It
in
looks
the
like
city.
the suburbs. It looks almost like the suburbs.
Oh, you love Wilde, right?
I do. I love Wilda. I love to call it Wilda because it's a wild atmosphere sometimes, but not as bad as it used to be. I don't know if you noticed that they are louder than other nations. And you can hear them everywhere on Wrocławska Street, and then they just everywhere.
He just created a different atmosphere. And I felt very comfortable to fail or to try things with him. And it was the best. You always remember your first.
in everything. That's true. Maybe a little bit more water. Jesus, I sound like an old person.
I'm pretty happy about your storytelling style for today. And
thank you.
Thank you for joining me. Yeah, thanks for this time.
I've had a great time. Absolutely. It's nice being a guest.
That's true. The host now finally a guest.
And you've asked the right questions, I wanted to say.
It was flow. We went with the flow.
That's the best. That's the best kind of thing. Thank you so much. Pleasure.
Yep. See you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.